All right, hi there, Wade Sellers back with you. In this video, we're going to talk about switch statements and setting one up in a SwiftUI app. Switch statements are like, just kind of like what we talked about with the else-if statements. It creates multiple forks in the road. You can have multiple decisions, and whichever one is true, that code will be ran. And yeah, so let's just get right into it. It's a much cleaner way to write a whole bunch of else-if statements, and it's called a switch statement. So if you're following along, create a new Playground app, and pause the video and catch up with the code. Real quick, I'll show you what I added. First off, I deleted the VStack and I set up a text field. Enter number is just the dummy code that's there, and I have it bound to a state variable called guest number. And the format is a dot number. Okay, make sure you do the format. I can actually just scoot that over so it's nice and clean. Okay. Text field style is rounded. Okay, so you get a little rounded. Padding breaks it off the wall. On submit means after we put a number in here and hit enter, then this code will be ran. And then underneath it is a little text, and we have no output text in it currently. But if I were to type in test, you would see that it'll pop up just under the text field. Okay, cool. So we'll change the output based on what statement is true. So I have a @state variable guest number, which is the number that we're going to put in here. That's why it's bound to the text field. And then mystery number we just have set to a random number, and the idea is to try to get the number right when you guess it in the text field. Okay. So in the on submit, let's go ahead and do a switch based on the number that they guessed. Okay. So to do a switch statement, you just do switch. And then what parameter is going to be changing. So the parameter that will be changing that we're going to check against is the guest number. Let's open it up. And now you use cases, okay? And cases are kind of like if this is true, all right? So we're going to do case, and here we're just going to do 1, 2, or 3. If the guest number is 1, 2, or 3, then this case would be true. And watch, when I hit colon, it's going to scoot the case over to the switch, and that's just how it is, okay? So it should look like this. When you hit enter, then the logic will be there. So if the guest number is 1, 2, or 3, run this next line of code. So we're going to say it's output equals too low, okay? So if you think about it here, our mystery number is 4, so we're just hard coding this, okay? If the mystery number is 4 and the user guesses 1, 2, or 3, then they've guessed too low. So our output will say too low, okay? And look, we can prove it right now. Actually, I need to complete the statement. So let's go ahead and complete the statement. Okay, so that's the first case, okay? Great. Now let's go down to the next case, okay? And as I type in case, let's do in case they choose the mystery number, so like they got it right. I'll do the colon, watch it scoots it back over all nice and orderly here. So let's say they guessed the right number, they guessed the mystery number. So our output will equal, let's just say correct. Okay. And finally, we could do more cases. You could just do as many cases as you want. And just like when we looked at the else-if statements, eventually we just used an else statement at the end, which was like, okay, if none of these are true, then run this one, all right? In a switch statement, the else statement is called a default, okay? And I'll do default colon, enter, and I'll just do output equals too high, okay? So think about this. Let's think about the logic. We're going to put a number in here, we're going to hit enter. On submit, we'll get ran. The switch statement will look and see what the guest number is, and if the guest number is 1, 2, or 3, it's going to change the text view to too low. If the guest number equals our mystery number, okay, so if it's the same number we set, then we're going to output correct into the text view. And any other time, we can assume that it's higher than our mystery number, right? Because there's no other numbers lower, right? So default output will equal too high, all right? So let's test it out. I have a 1 in here. We'll hit enter. It's too low, okay? How about 3? It's still too low, okay? How about 5? Okay, now it's too high, okay? How about 4? Correct. Okay, do you see how that worked? So each time we hit enter, it runs through and it checks to see which one is true. And then once it finds the true statement, it goes ahead and runs that code right there. All right? So let's take it just like one step further here, okay? Because this is a very, very basic example. But what if you want to check a range of numbers, okay? So let's go ahead and change something here. Let's do the mystery number equals, let's say, 400, okay? And let's say the case, let's say, if the numbers are 0 to our mystery number, the output will be too low. In case it is the mystery number, the output will be correct. And default, the output will be too high. Okay, let's try this out. Let's check this out. So let's say we choose 200. Okay, we're too low. 300. Okay, we're too low. Okay, the mystery number is 400. Let's try 400. We're still too low. So in the case of this, the range is 0 to the mystery number. So if it is the mystery number, it's still technically going to make this case statement true. And it won't even get to this case statement because this one will have been true first because the code is going to run, you know, in a line. So what we really need to do is this is a logic error, right? This is a one-off error. So really what we want to do here is like, in case the number they choose is 0 to the mystery number minus 1, right? So it's not 400, it's 0 to 399. See, 399, it's too low. But if we do 400, it's correct, right? So that's how we move it just one down. Our case will be from 0 to 399, then our mystery number is 400. But now, since we have this set up as our mystery number, right, we could set this up to be 450, right? And so now, if we do a 400, we should still be too low. And we are too low. What if we do 449? We're still too low. And what if we do 450? We are correct. And if we do 451, we're too high. Okay? So this is a switch statement, and you can keep making as many cases as you want, and you have to have some sort of default case. Even if you've created all the possible cases that it possibly could be, then you create a default case and you just be like, you know, this should never be ran if your logic's right. So this is a long-winded way to describe the switch cases. They're super, super handy. Just in best practices, because this is the last video here. You start out with the simplest thing and then you get more complex. If you only need one if statement, great. Do an if and then this and then move on. If you have two possibilities in your code, if, else. If you have more, then it's if, else if, else if, else if. And if you have a bunch of else if statements, your code's going to get really long. So instead, switch it to a switch statement so that you get a nice little way to format it just like this. All right, so that's switch statements for you. With that being said, I will see you in the next video series. Happy coding. Bye.